Okay, so here we are at the Submit Your Plugin directory. So yeah, since my last video had to do a lot of cleaning up and compliancy things and so forth, and so I kind of just took my time doing it because of just life in general. But so the first thing I kind of looked at was my validation that I was doing when I was inputting my data. Um, so in all my fields, and there's more fields in this, but I was doing some front-end validation using HTML5 validation, custom validation that you can do, and I wanted to keep that. That's one thing I struggled with because I wanted to keep that, and I managed to keep that. So I was doing front-end validation. You can see here that I'm using this kind of validation patterning and title for the HTML5 kind of custom validation that it allows you to do using regex here. But I also decided to go ahead and do it on the back end. I mean, you have to, because some wise guy like myself could come in here and remove this pattern, and I would slip right past the front end validation going to the back end, and you could get some malicious code into the database, like some kind of alerts or something, just something that would deface the site. So I did that, and that was like my first thrust. The other thing is I kind of fixed some items having to do with my newly invented paginator. So as I said, I kind of put this together, and at some point it wasn't kind of working from here. I don't know what's going on here. I hope it's not anything to do with this plugin. But anyway, so let me fix this real quick. Anyway, I'll look at that later. So let me go back here. So again, what was going on was when I was going to the, like, let's say the second page, where I'm starting into some newer, a new page of pagination rather. If I did a search, like say by last name or something, it wouldn't come up because now it's working. Because the way the paginator works, you have to kind of fill in the form value before you send it back, and we can look at that later. But anyway, I just kind of fixed it, and I'll kind of point that out as I move through it. The other thing, let's see. Looking at the plugin compliancy, as I was going through it all and I was about to submit it, I got to here, and certainly I kind of went through this, and it said, "Hey, have you looked and have used the plugin checker plugin?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, no." So these are kind of just asking personal at your own, taking you at your own word that you feel this, that you've gone through all these steps. And I wanted to go through the plugin checker. One thing I wanted to mention about the plugin checker, let me run it really quickly. So if I go to my plugins, so the plugin checker is just another plugin that you can install and run against all these plugins. I've actually run this plugin on these, the checker rather, on all these other plugins, and they've all got errors and warnings and whatnot. So I don't know what the standard or the thresholds are for this thing. I did find some errors that I'm going to point out. So let me run this on mine. Check my plugin, and I've worked through some of the items. The main items that I worked through had to do with escaping and kind of cleaning up the data, as I kind of do anyway, through my validation, and then through general PHP filters. But they want it done their way, the WP way, so the WordPress way. So I had to go back and redo those. So if I run Now you'll notice it's got these other check marks here for general security, performance, and accessibility. I'm not going to go through those. They've already passed. I've already checked them. They're pretty easy. You pretty much got them all. If you've gone through the main plugin repo, you've pretty much covered these other guys. Let's see. So let me run this. And there are some other items that I had to struggle with in the interim, having to do mainly with my uninstall. For example, the options array that I created, or I'm using to use the various fields or not use the various fields, search fields and input fields, are all these options. And in the code, while I'm in the WordPress environment, I'm actually able to call these. I can loop through these items using the group name, which I'm not able to use here. So I had to explicitly name each and every one of these items and then loop through them. That's the only big thing. This is what this where it says drop table. So it wants to use prepare statements. Even though I was already doing it the PHP way, it wants you to use the WPDB way. So I'm preparing these, and usually I was passing the S instead of an I for a string, and with that you get like an extra pair of quotes that was interfering with this process. So when I ran it using the I, which you're allowed to, or you're supposed to be able to use for your objects like tables and column names, things like that, you can use an I. Well, it causes, in the plugin checker, it causes I modifier, we call it, I used to call it back in the day, conversion specification. Either way, um, it throws an error, even though it works. So I've already tested it. The database tables get built, they get destroyed as expected, but okay, let me see if I can find it here. Where was it? So I found something, this guy here. So I did some research on it, and yeah, certainly there is a problem with this plugin checker. I forgot where I got this. Maybe I should cite my um, references. But here, so false positives where um, the I flag is being tagged as unsupported placeholder, etc., etc. Um, so this again is just a known error. So I'm getting that error, but it works, and I'm doing it the way they want me to do it, which is, for example, when I'm creating, where am I? When I'm creating the tables in the data, or the tables rather. Um, Normally, I was just going to do a normal PHP SQL command to create table, but they want it run through. Let's see, where's my guy? Right here. They want it run through their very own, and I pretty much did what they wanted to do here, but they wanted to use this DB delta, which I guess does a lot of the housekeeping regarding if the table exists, and maybe even some of the repair statements that it's griping about. So that's what I had to do to create the table. So basically it creates a table and it stores your items in there. I use a table of my own, custom table, as opposed to using the post table, the WP post, or the meta table or whatnot, because I feel that there's going to be some more columns, fields added to this table in the future. I'm probably going to do more with this. I'm going to keep it normalized. I'm not going to go crazy with any relational table needs. It's all going to be the message, anything that pertains to the message table, and I can show you really quickly if I got it up. The table that it creates and destroys upon. So when you uninstall it, it destroys everything. That's another thing I was looking at. That's why I had these issues with the uninstall. So when it creates a table, here is the WPC with contacts table. It basically just creates a table and loads information regarding birthday and all the message information for the user, whatnot. Logo if they have one. It depends on how the client is wanting to use this form. Will determine what fields they may want, just one field. Either way, it's just kind of a start. So that's what the table is referring to. So anyway, let's get back here. Yeah, that was the deal with then I wanted to show y'all the problems with that. So that's nothing. Let's hope. And then here I have some warnings regarding the direct use of a database call. And basically, I think what they said after I did some research, I don't know if I have that or not, but I won't waste time looking for it. But basically, in the code, if you let's see, what was it? It was requiring this guy here. So when you're making direct database queries, you have to kind of let them know that you know what's going on. And since I'm using my own custom table, I'm not hitting the post table that it's sharing with the rest of the application. I shouldn't have to worry about this direct database query thing. So I address that in that manner. Then the uninstall thing, again, direct database. I did work with some caching, but again, I'm getting after my research, I'm just getting that it's not necessary. So I'm just going to, let's try it one more time, make sure it still works. I'll say John Doe, if this works. I'll say John. And there's no email validation, I mean, other than making sure it's an email and not malicious code. So it doesn't go and check to see that the email is valid, or because you're not signing people up, you're just getting information from the general public, kind of a shotgun marketing thing. We'll say XYZ company and role MGR, whatever. I might create a drop down for that. The thing that I want to do with going forward, the very first thing I want to do is allow this to use the Google reCAPTCHA. So once they provide their key, their secret key, etc., then I'll just do everything to where it'll pop up here for them, and they can have a more professional CAPTCHA. Okay, so it looks like this is going to work. I'm going to add a picture or logo. So this guy, Sandy. And so it seems to be working in the way that it's supposed to work. When I go down to when I go down to my plugin, and any questions you might have on what else I haven't covered, be sure to just let me know, and I'll go into more detail and spend more time with it, especially on this, because I wanted to make sure that the search works correctly and everything. So we've got a couple of people, and the paginator that I created myself, you're welcome to it. It's pretty neat. That way you don't have to do any kind of query string manipulation up here. Just leave that alone. I just did it all behind the scenes. So there's a couple of those. If I want to see what else we have here, so I can test the search really quickly. Joe, a couple of Joes. One Joe, but the thing works anyway. So let's go submit it. So I think I've got everything ready. This code that you're seeing here, is the one that's being used. I've already got it downloaded and ready to upload. So let's just give it to them and see what they say. I expect that they may gripe about maybe some localized variables or something that they want to, like, for example, here if I'm doing some. They may gripe about having all this JavaScript on the front end, I kind of just felt like it went there, but if they wanted to go back into one of the external files, we can certainly do that. What I was referring to earlier was, yeah, well, just the, like, the variables that you're using, even though they're kind of, they're scoped to this block using the let um, scoping mechanism or modifier. They want you to have like a Siwa or the name of your application kind of prefix, right? Well, I didn't do that, so I just want to see if I can get away with it. So anyways, let's just go with it. Contact form. And I've read it, the frequently asked questions, I've gone through the guidelines, put my GPL in there, and I've done my plugin check. What am I going to do? Select the file. So this, yeah, I'm not, this is live. I've done it for the first time. Doing it for the first time right here. Where am I? Downloads. And this is my latest and greatest. And soon they'll have appended, updated versioning and so forth. So let's get that in there. Should be less than 10 megs. I think I got everything. Let's let it fly. Okay, so I got a kind of a message here before you submit your plugin. Well, I got that. Yeah, we've already went through that. Thank you for uploading your plugin, etc. We sent you an email verifying submission. So now, depending on if there are error was such as having submitted wrong, please don't resubmit. Instead, email us as soon. This is a good, so this I'm going to read this so y'all can see this because y'all may be wondering. So yeah, once you submit it, if I go back and I say, oh my gosh, I found an error, they're not gonna. I can't come in here and resubmit it. I've got to contact them and work with them. It looks like we can reply automated email we sent you. We can correct most issues before approval. Email us as soon as possible. Whatever. I guess they'll work with you to fix your errors once you know what they are. While you're waiting on your review, please take time to read the guidelines and the FAQ, which I've kind of already done. That my next step really is, to get ready for anything that they may send my way as far as it needs fixing. Also, to prepare myself with this, because if they're just moving me to a different repo, I forgot what those things called, a different versioning repo. So we all use GitHub and GitLab and so forth. They use SVN, and I haven't used SVN in a while, so I need to kind of bone up on that a little bit. I'm more of a terminal guy, so I'm probably not going to use the Tortoise interface, but we'll look at that going forward. So anyway, that's where we're at. So let's see. So there's 357 reviews in front of me. Let's see what else it says. Look at your guidelines, results of automated plugin scanning path. Ooh, look, note. Currently, we apologize for the inconvenience results of automatic pass. So it looks like the automatic plugin scanning passed. Interesting. I need to save this page. Put it on my wall. The above may contain false file. Oh, now you tell me. Okay, so don't get too excited. You have one plugin that is currently submitted but not used. Please wait, etc. Please review your plugin results. Please review the plugin check results for your plugin and fix any signal. Okay, I understand. This will help to streamline. Right. I'll fix any problems that you tell me to fix. Review status, awaiting review, etc., etc. So anyway, there we go. Frequently asked. So there we go. So it's been submitted, and they're just kind of awaiting the next steps. I wonder if I should print this page or something. But anyway, so I'll figure that out. So yeah, see what happens, and then basically, I'm going to kind of continue with the development of it to where it kind of looks better, I guess. Maybe get something in here that makes it look a little better, which I'm not going to worry too much about. Make sure that it just works, right? And I mean, it's supposed to be able to work, period, even before you submit it. So just make sure it's not broken. Regression testing, in other words. So make sure that all these settings work, the grid, the tiles, etc., little tiles, as opposed to a grid, and the view, and everything works, and it's validated, and so forth. So, but I guess as I was saying, that my next step is to learn SVN, or review SVN. And again, I want to enhance it by allowing it to do use the Google reCAPTCHA, which I think is a lot more professional when you're using the form, and to maybe make it a little bit, maybe refactor, redesign the front end. I'm not trying to compete with WP Forms or anything like that. I'm just trying to make something that's free, people can use, and maybe I'll add some features that'll be some kind of a pro version or something that'll be good to have or necessary for the user. But that's it for this. Other projects I'm looking at is I'm wanting to get into robotics. I looked at AI for a while, many years ago, and just wasn't impressed with it. But now that it's starting to become more applicable, I kind of see what I want to do with robotics. I don't know if I'm going to build a robot and have it make any useful purpose for it, but I'm trying to think of what other projects I wanted to get into. I'm mainly into BI and data science, but something involving the hard problem of AI, which is cool and everything, and you can use already pre-written machine, or rather models that are so pre-trained you don't even have to train them, but train them to suit a purpose. So basically that's it. All right, we'll keep you updated on what they say on this CWA contact form. Thank you.